Hello everyone, and welcome to Witch Hollow Homesteading. If you are wondering what to do with all that sourdough discard and not sure how many batches of crackers you can make, this is a fantastic recipe to use up some of that sourdough discard. Today I'm going to share with you how I make my sourdough discard pizza crust. This is a really easy meal to make when you know you're going to be super busy. You can prepare the dough the night before if you want to make breakfast pizza. However, if you're going to make it for dinner, you would just prep the dough in the morning and you can make pizza by dinner time. We're going to start by adding 226 grams of sourdough discard. That is such a great part about this recipe, is that it uses a decent amount of discard. To the discard, we are going to add 140 grams of filtered room temperature water. Just give it a quick stir so that the sourdough discard dissolves in the water. Now we're going to add the 325 grams of organic, all-purpose, unbleached flour. A substitution that you could make here is if you had organic, all-purpose whole wheat flour, which I do have some of that I get at the co-op. So if you wanted to use that, you would instead do 300 grams of that flour and 170 grams of filtered room temperature water. Add 1 tablespoon of organic olive oil, 1 teaspoon of organic sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Let's get this over to the mixer. I'm going to use the dough hook and turn this on medium-low speed and get it kneading. You will knead the dough for 8 to 10 minutes, and you will know when the dough is ready when it starts to have that stretchy texture and would pass the window pane test. Let's cover the dough for 6 to 10 hours. The reason I say 6 to 10 hours is because 1, it depends on the temperature of your kitchen, and 2, it's a very forgiving and flexible dough. So if you make it pretty early in the morning and don't get to actually use it until 10 hours later, that's completely fine. It's been about 8 hours and I am ready to make us dinner. Make sure to preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. As you can see, the dough is nice and puffy and ready for us to make some delicious pizza. Before I begin, I want to point out that you can absolutely use a round tray to make your pizza. It doesn't matter what style tray you want to use. This is just a rectangular baking tray, and it's because I don't actually have a round pizza tray, which I should get. But I am going to be using this one, and I put down my silk pat, and then I added a little bit of flour to it. I would recommend using cornmeal instead of flour. It's just that I ran out of cornmeal when I went to go make the pizza. I'm going to begin by gently pressing out the dough onto the mat and stretching it slightly. And then I took the mat off the tray and actually rolled it out with my little rolling pin. And I love this little rolling pin because it works perfectly for making pizza crust like this. And I am fully aware that plenty of you out there are amazing with pizza crust, and you can probably toss it up in the air and stretch it out and do all of those fancy little maneuvers. Oddly enough, Mr. Witch is actually really, really good at doing that because he used to manage a pizza shop. But he's not making pizza tonight, I am. So this is how I stretch out my pizza crust. The dough is all stretched out. The next step I'm going to do is take a fork and just put some holes in the dough, not all the way down to the tray, but just lightly poke some holes. And this is going to stop your pizza crust from swelling and getting those really, really big bubbles. This will just keep it so that it stays relatively flat. Top it with a little bit of organic olive oil. And if you would like, you could also sprinkle it with a little bit of sea salt and some herbs. Let's stick this in the oven and bake it for 5 minutes. The reason I'm pre-baking the crust a little bit is so that when I do add the sauce and the toppings, this way it gets a little bit of a crispy layer on it so that your sauce doesn't just soak into your crust. It's been 5 minutes and I'm going to take the pizza crust out of the oven and we are going to get ready to top it. You can add absolutely any toppings that you like to add on your pizza. That's what I love about pizza, is you can pretty much get away with putting almost anything on it, and it will taste delicious regardless. Here, I'm adding some sauce that we had left over from a previous dinner. Adding some fresh thyme and oregano from the garden that I had dried. Adding my cheese. For this pizza, I am using the Violife mozzarella cheese. Time to add some leftover broccoli and some leftover artichokes. Looks like our pizza's ready, so we're going to place it back in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. I left mine in for about 18 minutes because I wanted the crust really crispy. And here it is. Thank you so much for joining me today at Witch Hollow Homesteading. I hope that this recipe was helpful and inspiring. I would love to know all the different toppings that you like to put on your pizza, so please comment below and let me know.